Hi Lalita, how are you doing? And tell me more. And your life and your entire career and your own of the Mohan Foundation has been made into a film, which is starring Revathi, and it's released in India and it's already released in North America, I'm
In
told.
the US,
Yes,
yeah.
in the US. Aye Zindagi is the name of the film, and
Yes.
it's inspired by you. So, how do you first of all, how do you feel about you being the main reason and inspiration for a film role, and that too, enacted by Revathi? So, we'll start from there.
Okay, so doing a film based on my story, yes, it feels good. Revathi doing the role definitely feels all the more good.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is that it is serving a larger good for the society.
Yeah.
More and more people, millions of people need to know about this cause. You know, I used to work for iBank Association of India, promoting eye donations in India for almost 10 years.
Okay.
And at that time, eye donations were not common. But now people are coming forward to make an eye donation. But talk about organ donation, not many people, know about it, or not many people are coming forward to make an organ donation. So that way, this movie is very, very important because it carries the message that everyone needs to donate organs. There is a message that, one may have lost their loved one, but that loved one can live in 7 people.
Yeah.
7 people. Imagine you have the power to give the gift of life to 7 people. So when I counsel families also, I tell them God is nowhere, God is in you. God has given us one life, but you have the power to give 7 lives. So they get inspired and then they think about it, and finally most of them say yes to organ donation. So that way this movie is serving the larger good. So I'm very happy about it.
Amazing. And you've always been a grief counselor as well. So that's a very unique area of expertise. Tell me about it. I'm sure you have millions of stories, but your career as a grief counselor would be very interesting to me.
So I actually have a hospital management background. I started my career at LV Prasad Eye Institute. I worked there for 7 years, and then I moved to iBank Association of India. Got trained in the US and Prague in iBank administration, which includes grief counseling.
Okay.
So then I started the Mohan Foundation Hyderabad branch in 2001, and I got trained in US and UK in grief counseling. And since then, I've been doing counseling. So what is grief counseling? A lot of them keep asking. So when somebody is suffering the loss of their loved one, or they're going to lose their loved one, at that time they need somebody to talk to. And you have varied a myriad experiences. People go through different moods, different, they process it differently. Some of them are, they go through denial. Some of them, they just cannot accept it. And some people will say, no, 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 I want to take a second opinion. I want to go to another hospital. I know this so-and-so doctor. I want to take a second opinion.
Yeah.
So all of this, and some of them are very angry. So you have to understand what they are going through and be in a position to handle that. And that is, a science that is taught. And we at Mohan Foundation also do these training programs for grief counselors. We have trained more than 3,500 grief counselors in India and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka also. So when I was, counseling families and talking about organ donation, I always used to say, oh my God, I really, I can imagine what you are going through. And actually, when I lost my son, my 19-year-old son, Swaminarayan, in a car accident. This was on the night of his birthday. He met with a car accident, and he was brain dead. So it is then that I truly realized what it is to, lose a loved one. So then we donated all his organs, and since then, both my husband and I continue to work for organ donation and spread the message, do grief counseling. When we have a large team, we also, when we counsel, the families, we tell them that we are not just talking in the air, we have done it ourselves. We cannot get back our loved one, but we can live with the gratification that he or she continues to live on in so many people. So that is the gratification that I live with, to be honest with you. If he was alive, he would be 37 years old, but we can't bring Swami back. But I know that, his organs and eyes continue to live on.
My God, what a story of courage. What a story of courage you are. I mean, apart from the fact that you relieve people of their suffering, the personal grit and strength.
It
justified to do this because you conquered it yourself in a way. And it'll never go but it'll always be a reason for you to help others, and that is how it also lives on, this feeling of and not letting go. And it's I'm a mother to a 19-year-old, so I completely understand. Yeah. So it must be so tough, but yes, salute to all your fortitude, strength, and the fact that you converted your pain into such an important social cause. It's amazing. And the fact that you're going to come to Dubai soon. So tell me about that.
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
So you're coming to Dubai with the DHA?
Yeah. We want to be able to do the same work that we are doing here, spread the message about organ donation in the Indian community, because there is such a large Indian community in Dubai. Yes. So we want to be able to do the public education programs, and also train grief counselors, and also be in a position to counsel the families in case there is a brain death in a hospital. We will have grief counselors there, and they will be able to motivate them and make them.
How do grief counselors? So what are the people who are trained as grief counselors? Do they have to have a medical background, or they could be volunteers who are ready to be part of this?
Grief counselors can be anyone, but according to the Transplantation of Human Organs Act in India, a grief counselor needs to have either be a doctor or a social work background, or a nurse, or any allied healthcare professionals.
Okay.
But if you asked me, I would say anyone who has empathy, anyone who has good communication skills. And the other thing that I always stress on is if you have the power of knowing more languages. When you are talking to the families, like you said, you were born and brought up in Gujarat, although you are a Tamilian.
Yeah.
I was born and brought up in Hyderabad. Yeah. So I can speak good Telugu. I can speak good Tamil because of my mother tongue. Good Hindi because of being a Hyderabadi. And English, of course. So when you know so many more languages, you're able to relate to the family. So that is very important.
Yeah.
And grief counseling is also something that you literally breathe, because deaths occur anytime during the day, night, weekends, Diwali nights. We have done grief counseling during the night of Diwali. When my father-in-law ceremony was happening, we get a call. So, my husband and I immediately would after the ceremony, would rush to the hospital. Christmas Eve, the New Year Eve, when Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy's body was brought, after the accident, body was brought at that time. Telangana curfew time, all these times also, we have done organ donations. So you have to be prepared. I always keep saying, you cannot say, oh, I have my daughter's parent teachers meeting, or I have to go to a, movie with the family. This comes first. And we never switch off our mobile phones. We are always
Alert.
there to, receive phone calls and plunge into action.
My God, this is complete dedication to everything that you do. Okay, tell me, in the film, what is your role? So how did the film happen? Like, how did they decided to make
So
a film?
Dr. Anirban Bose is a nephrologist at the University of Rochester Medical Center, and he is the president of Mohan USA. We have a charitable organization in the US promoting ethical organ donation, based in New Jersey, and Dr. Bose is the president of Mohan USA. So when he heard our story, he was very, just 1 minute, I think there's a little bit of a noise.
Yeah. Can I pause it for a bit?
Sorry.
No
Sorry,
problem.
Manju.
Yeah.
So Dr. Bose came in touch with us in Hyderabad, and he heard our story, and he has written several books. He's a good writer. He's an author of several books. And when he heard our story, he said, this has to be told to the world. Everyone needs to know about this. And that is how he wrote the story. My son's liver was received by a boy named Love Dodi. Love was earlier working in Tata's, and then now he's in Chicago. So he got in touch with Love. He went and spoke to him. And after doing all these things, he wrote the story. And then he went on his own to several producers. And finally, he found a producer who was interested, Shiladitya Bora of Platoon One Films. So he found him, and he was also very interested. And that's how the film happened. And in fact, Anirban, I know for the past 1.5, 2 years, has been shuttling between New York and India to first time, direct this movie. And he himself took training in directing a movie, and then he is very passionate about organ donation, and that's how this movie happened.
And the story is something that happened to you. The story of the film is a
Yes.
real story. So tell me about the
It's
person.
a true story.
Yeah, tell me about that, and how did that happen? And tell me the story in brief, and then what happened.
So as I said, Love was suffering with liver cirrhosis. So he got in touch with me. He got seen at a global hospital, and he came, and I counseled him, and I
How
told
old
him
was
that
he? How old was he?
he was 26 at that time.
Okay.
So he was advised a liver transplant. And naturally, a liver transplant can happen only when there is a donor liver.
Yeah.
And the donor liver has to come from a cadaver donor.
Yeah.
So I said, you have to wait until the cadaver donation happens. And he said, okay. He didn't have money for transplant. He thought, he'll probably die. He cannot get an organ. And then Love has his twin brother. His name is Kush. And Kush is a doctor. So Kush said that he will be with Love all through, take care of his medical needs. He was there all through. And we also raised money for Love's transplant. Several of his colleagues donated 1 month's salary, and several trusts donated money for his transplant. And he was waiting for liver. And before his transplant, there was another donor. And he was not a correct match for the liver for that liver. So he didn't get that liver, and he was very upset. His brother was very upset. So they were very angry with me. I said, don't worry. You have to trust me. The liver will come. So then they waited. And January 13th happens to be my son's birthday. Coincidentally, I have a daughter. She is also born on January 13th. So January 13th, 1985 is Swami's birthday. January 13th, 1990, just exactly 5 years apart, is Vaishnavi's birthday. So both the children's birthday on the same day. So we were going to celebrate in 2004. And Swami was doing engineering in Chennai. He came for Pongal vacation. And that day, my father was very ill and he had a myocardial infarction. So he was admitted, he was in the ICU. And Swami went out with his friends. My daughter was at home. My husband was in Pune on work. So only both of us were there at home. My father was in the hospital. So my Swami said he is going out with his friends to watch cricket in friend's farmhouse. So I said, come back home early tomorrow morning because you have to come and take care of Tata. So he said, okay. And early morning, 4:30, I get a call saying, Swami met with a small accident. Please come in any hospital. So I said, what happened? They said, no, just come, minor accident. So we immediately rushed to the hospital. He was unconscious and he was put on ventilator. And by then I was already working in Mohan Foundation and I knew what exactly was happening to him. So immediately I called my husband. He came that night. He was put on, Swami was put on ventilator and he progressed to brain death that night. And then we decided to donate all his organs. So the movie talks about the journey of Love, how he received the liver transplant. And Love was in the liver ICU where the nurse, her name is Mrudula, her real name is Mrudula. So Love falls in love with Mrudula. And love happens in the liver ICU. So after a couple of years of transplant, Love got married to Mrudula. And now they have two beautiful daughters. Ira and Ina. They live in Chicago. So that's the story. And Love talks about his journey. At the end, he says, it so happens that Love, actually what happened is Love invited me for his wedding. I didn't want to go for the wedding. I didn't want it to be, he shouldn't feel obligated to me. I didn't want him to think that, I did something really good or I should feel obliged to her. I didn't want any distraction in his life, so I didn't go to the wedding. After several years, 2-3 years only, 2-3 years ago, I met him and Mrudula and the children. So that is also shown in the movie. And
so it's also a story of helping others despite such tragedy, personal tragedy. That's the story of it. Oh God, that's another level of bravery. And I'm sure the courage comes from a lot of your own self, your own prayers. I'm sure
I am a spiritual person. And like I said, I believe that I have been sent to do this work. So I better do it well. That's the way I look at it. And my son was born with a purpose, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Wow.
what it is.
It's an amazing, not just a story,
The
it's an
show must go
amazing
on.
lesson. It's inspiring. It's like, oh, this is another level to, yeah. And you have other stories as well. But this is your own because it's got your own life in it as well. Uh,
There
and then,
are millions of donors like me.
hmm,
There are people who have sacrificed, lost their loved one, and have donated organs.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this movie is dedicated to all those organ donors, all those families that have had the courage to say yes to organ donation in that hour of grief.
I think most reviews that I've read about the film say is that you have to carry a tissue box with you when you watch the film because it is very heart wrenching as well.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about your interaction with Revathi and because she's an organ
I never
donor
got to
herself.
meet Revathi.
Oh, you didn't?
I never got to meet Revathi.
Okay. Okay.
So I believe Anirban told her about me. He
Yeah.
probably showed her some pictures of mine.
Yeah.
So my husband and I got the CNN IBN Real Heroes Award in 2009. So there's a video of that
Yeah.
awards function. So he showed her that video, and I believe she started crying. She said, "I believe what a story, I'd like to do it," she said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It is a story worth uh, not just courage. It talks about a lot of fight. We live in a world of personal gain and selfishness. Here we are talking about somebody who's well. I'm really honored to have spoken to you. There's so much to learn, so much to imbibe, and so much to be inspired by. Amazing. I mean, the fact that your courage
thank you.
another level.
Thank you.
And I'm sure when you
Thank
come
you.
to Dubai, you will have to speak about this, and
Definitely, definitely.
spread.
Yes, let's meet up and
Yes,
definitely
I'll be more than happy.
make this happen in that part of the world. We
Yes.
need more and more people